Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Blaster Royal Paladin deck profile for post Light of Salvation, Logic of Destruction. This is the next deck profile in line with the booster pack that I wanted to do. Royal Paladin really did get a change from the support it received in the last booster pack with the new one, focusing on the Blaster lineup with a bunch of new cards for the deck, pretty much completely changing all the grade lineups for the deck. It's a really interesting deck, hitting some pretty big powerful numbers with our new grade 4 unit, Arcsaver Dragon, along with comboing it with Messianc Lord Blaster, and all the other different grade 1s and 2s we received to back up Blaster Blade as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for our grade 4 unit, I have 4 Arcsaver Dragon in the deck. On your Vanguard circle and your hand, if you have a total of 3 or more cards with Blaster in their different card names on your Vanguard and drop zone, this card gets grade -1. So just having a good amount of Blaster cards in the deck definitely does help for this card's key play. Giving it a grade -1, putting it at grade 3 makes it very easier to ride this card and used. And on Vanguard, when placed, you Counterblast 3, Soul Blast 3, search for up to 1 card with Blaster in its card name from your deck, drop zone, and damage zone to a total of 3 or less cards, and call them to rear and shuffle your deck. So being able to take away from a damage in your damage zone definitely does help, but giving you those easy calls for other Blaster units sets you up for some pretty powerful plays with the next grade 3 we'll show. And also having that 14k power does come in handy when it's going up solo against some grade 3s, being able to play defensively against a lot of force decks as well that have the 13k power, unless they boost up the card, or if it has imaginary give force or any other kind of grade 1 boosting it. And I also run 3 Messianc Lord Blaster. During your turn, if you have 6 units with Blaster with different card names, this unit gets the original power and critical of all your rear guards. And when you drive check and reveal a card with Blaster in its card name, you may call that card to an open rear. So having a good amount of Blaster cards in the deck definitely does help with this skill as well. For both Vanguard skills, what I like with the fact that you can minus Arcsaver's grade with the Blaster setup you have, meaning you can ride Messianc Lord Blaster on top of that card as well, even though it is a grade 4 technically. Getting that grade -1 from your Vanguard circle or your hand definitely does help. But this one is your true game finisher here. With this card, you're able to bump up the just total power and make your opponent either use their perfect guard or hopefully have a lot of guards to block this attack. If not, it could be pretty much the thing you needed to end the game against your opponent. And then lastly, for the grade 3 and 4 lineup, I have 1 Taintless Feather Dragon and 1 Exculpate the Blaster. Now this Taintless Feather Dragon obviously is either going to be a second Exculpate the Blaster for the deck or a 4th Messianc Lord Blaster, depending on what you want preference. I would definitely not run this normally, since one, it's not a Blaster card in the deck. But if you have and want to run a second Exculpate, which definitely does help for the fact that we run Blaster Blade in the deck, and it just has amazing pressure against your opponent with being able to re-ride Blaster Blade as well, and being able to attack all of your opponent's units. But it really is player preference there, depending on what you wanted to run. Just so you have the plenty of targets for the grade 3 to go into with these cards, and then just being able to finish off with Exculpate is a big part of the deck for sure. But this last spot where the Taintless Feather in, like I said, can be whichever of the 2 you prefer. If you just want to run 1 Exculpate, it can be that, or if you wanted to bump Messianc Lord Blaster up to 4, you could do that as well. And then that is it for the grade 3 and 4 lineup. For the grade 2 units, I run 4 Blaster Blade. Just being one of your main grade 2 Blaster units in the deck, you definitely do need a good number of this card. If you have 4 or more rear guards, this unit gets critical +1. And on Vanguard or rear when placed, you Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row and retire it. Just being able to have that Vanguard or rear guard skill definitely does come in handy, but also being able to re-ride with cards like Exculpate definitely does help for that extra critical, and then just basically setting up your force markers to have Blaster Blade have more power along with the extra critical, because when you re-ride it, it definitely does have that target power originally at 10k, and just having more cards in your drop zone with this card in Soul helps to set up for cards like Arcsaver and Messianc Lord Blaster as well. And then for additional grade 2 units, I run 4 Blaster Rapier. With this one, if you have 6 units with Blaster in their different card names, this unit gets plus 15 power on rear guard. And on rear, when it attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster or Arc Saver in its card name, look at the top card of your deck, put it on the top or bottom of your deck. So you just have that set up for your Vanguard's drive check as well, or if you're looking to get a specific card with, your drive check Rapier definitely does come in handy for that search, but being able to hit that big power along with the imaginary gifts you could potentially give this card definitely does help just for your plays later on. So a definite 4 of along with Blaster Blade, and also for the fact that you want a good number of Blaster units in the deck as well. And lastly, to finish off the grade 2 lineup, I run 4 Blaster Arrow. On rear, if you have 6 units with Blaster in their different card names, they cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So just more protection with this continuous effect when, like I said, you want your potential field to be Blaster, which you can easily search with Arc Saver as well. So just having this protection with Blaster Arrow definitely does help. And also on rear when placed, if you have 3 or more units with Blaster in their different card names, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for up to 1 Arc Saver Dragon, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So that's more search power, so you don't have to worry about your grade 3 lineup, as long as you have your other blasters set up on the field as well for that discard search, so you don't have to worry about not having the card in your hand, and also just being able to deck thin out some of the other cards you might not want to see early game in your hand as well. But also just being able to deck thin for the triggers definitely does come in handy. And that is it for the grade 2 lineup. Like I said, a majority of Blaster units definitely does help for all of the units. A majority is what we're going for. For the grade 1s, I run 4 Blaster Javelin on rear during the battle that boosted. If you have a Vanguard with Blaster or Arc Saver in its card name, this unit gets plus 2,000 power. And when it boosts, if you have 6 units with Blaster in different names, choose a rearguard in your opponent's front row and bind it. So it's not really a retire skill like Blaster Blade, but the bind definitely does come in handy, especially when you're going up against a lot of decks that can make use of units in the drop zone, like Grand Blue especially. For that auto skill, not wasting a counterblast either definitely does help when we have other cards in the deck that greatly need those counterblasts, like Arc Saver for sure. So just being able to have this as a backup for your boosting, and then for the power also definitely does help. And I also run for the grade 1s 4 Blaster Dagger. If you have 6 units with Blaster in their different card names, they get boost. So being able to swap around some of our grade 2 units for the boost gives us additional numbers on rear guard, since we can have Blaster Blade, Rapier, and Arrow on the field, which 2 of them are the grade 2s for attacking. And then just having that additional grade 2 to boost definitely does help. And that boost with Dagger gives you basically Javelin, Dagger on the field, and then your last grade 2 for the lineup. Having all these units, I think, is the ideal lineup you want for most of your plays to go off with Messianc, Lord Blaster, and your Arc Saver Dragon, which is why we're also running 4 of all of these units in the deck. Now, for the last spot, sadly, we didn't have any other Blaster units to use to fully get that potential. I tried lowering the grade 1 number as best as I could, increasing the grade 2 lineup, which we had more Blaster units of, and also just the grade 3 and 4 lineup. Just as a final spot, I run 4 Night Squire Allen. Like I said, if it was another Blaster unit we had, I would definitely run that over this just to have those numbers taken care of. But this one, just for the draw power, gives us some more additional cards we can use to then replace Allen with that card. And just overall having different options for this card available to us with some of our other grade 1 lineup definitely does come in handy, especially like if you need the ride target for cards when this card, if you have a total of 3 or more cards with Blaster and their different names on your Vanguard, and drop zone for that grade 1 lineup. So just being able to have like a ride target for this card otherwise definitely does help, so you can keep the Blaster cards for some of your other plays. And then for the trigger lineup, I run your starter, which is Glime, the simple, when wrote upon, draw a card starter. for all the standard decks. And also for the trigger lineup, I decided to stick with the 8 critical, so 4 Flogel and 4 Epona, just with Messianc Lord Blaster, that pressure, and also early game Blaster Blade is incredible for sure, so really can't go wrong with that lineup for sure. And also I run the 4 draw trigger perfect guards, aside from the fact that you want to keep, a good amount of the grade 1s in the deck, being the Blaster. You don't really want to have it take up a grade 1 spot, and just having this as that option for the perfect guard, definitely needed. And lastly, also 4 Elaine for the heal trigger as well. We don't have any Blaster units for the trigger lineup. We might get some different grade 1s and 2s, and who knows, maybe other units as well for Blaster to support the deck in the upcoming booster pack. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.